Whatever this place was, it was Grokin Gaxley. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and to the review of Dorcas by C.A. Deegan. This is a standalone in the series of the Cracklock Saga book series, and I particularly love the standalone. So far, we've got two standalone in the series of the Cracklock Saga. We have one that I've read here, which is titled A Tale of Natalia Cracklock, and this is the second standalone in the book series of the Cracklock Saga. This is Dorcas. And Dorcas is one of those prominent characters in the entire book series. If you've been following my channel for a very long time, you must have seen that I'm a huge fan of Craig Deegan's writing. I love his storytelling techniques, I love his writing style, I love his use of words and choice of word as well. And I love the way with which he crafts his words in a way that reads cynically, making you to paint image in your head as you read along. And there's something bold about Craig Deegan's writing style. This is actually a fantasy novel for lovers of fantasy because I'm a huge fan of fantasy, and Craig Deegan is one of those authors that rekindles my love and admiration for fantasy novels. And this particular series, Dorcas, is an amazing one. It's one that keeps me in suspense. And one thing I can say, just like I mentioned in my review title of the book, as a fact that this is a historical and sorrowful story of the face anguish in the lifehouse realm. And if you're not familiar with the word like fairies, and we have the lifehouse realm, we have, quite a lot of realms so far in the entire book series of the Cracklock Saga. Like much as I can remember, we have the Lifehouse realm, we have realm of the lost, we have realm of the departed, we have other realm that was mentioned in book 4, I think, Their Sorrows. And here, this is a switch between the Lifehouse realm and the fairy realm. The fairy realm is referred to as fairy, and the Lifehouse realm is referred to as the Lifehouse realm. That's the realm of, I think, the human being. Why? The realm of the Fae is the realm of those people that looks like Fae. We have Groblin, we have Brownie, etc. As much to my knowledge as I read through the book of the Cracklock Saga. So before I move on my review of here, I would want to give you a short overview of Dorcas from my own point of view, not what is mentioned in the book actually, but from my own point of view, being someone who has been following the story for a very long time. The story of Dorcas actually started here in the first book series, Far of Fall, and I particularly love charisma in this particular series. I love generous deed, and I love doings here until here it moves into here in the Lux and the Departed, and the story is quite very amazing. I love reading deeply. I consider myself as a literary reader. And when it comes to reading book, I love to dig back to the history of Dorcas itself. And she had an amazing story here in the second book series, which is titled The Lux and the Departed. And of course, you don't need to read all of this to understand the story of Dorcas. You may want to start from here, Dorcas, before wanting to pick other ones. I just want to give you an overview of the story of Dorcas. And here, I love the adventure of Dorcas and Alice at the Mirror Glass, following on from what happened in book 2, following on what happened in the manor, that's the building where Agatha and Anastasia capture everybody, capture Dorcas, and Femme inclusive. It's an amazing read here, until Dorcas actually was eventually captured alongside with other characters in Their Sorrows, which of course I look forward to reading more of how the stories continue in the upcoming Coin of the Realm by Craig Deegan. It's been amazing so far. The story of Dorcas is one that pull you into a lot of emotion, is one that make you love the story. It's one that is very suspenseful, and it's one that is fantastically written that I've been enjoying for quite a lot of time ever since I started reading the Cracklock Saga book series. So picking up this particular series in the book that's a standalone of Dorcas is an amazing one. So actually I attempt to keep my review spoiler free and to make it a bit short. I'll try not to be too long, and as such I love to read to you the synopsis at the back page of the book. So it goes like this. Bad things happens to good folks. Such is the nature of the world. Friend and nanny to the Cracklocks for generation, Dorcas, the brownie, is a firm fixture in the family. But it wasn't always that way. Our innocent Dorcas has a dark and terrible past, one where innocent mischief leads to a nefarious plot to expose fairy to the world. True friendship will be shattered, and the evil nature of lifers will be exposed for all to see. join Dorcas in her early years. What happens at the lake with Jenny Green Teeth? Why did Dorcas become such a scrapper? And how did she come to join the family she loved so much? This is a tale not for the faint of heart. And I love this ending part of the synopsis. This is really a tale not for the faint of heart. So, Dorcas is actually one of the prominent characters in the entire book series I've showed to you earlier on, from Far of Fall to The Locks and the Departed to Alice and the Mirror Glass to Dear Sorrows. And when I eventually realized that the author is going to be writing a particular series, a standalone on the story of Dorcas itself, I was so excited because Dorcas, alongside with Jerry, alongside with other characters, alongside with David himself, are one of those prominent characters in the entire book series of the Cracklock Saga that I've been enjoying so far on the channel. So here talks a bit about the history of Dorcas, what happened many years ago, how she came about her role in pain, how she came about the way she speaks, I'd say, and quite a lot of other amazing characterization, other amazing story, other amazing tale about his granny, tell about the adventure into the life of stream, and quite a lot of amazing stuff encapsulated in this single book. So I love to start from Dorcas' adventure with Smithy. Dorcas has a friend called Smithy, and they're very close together. They go about in the realm of the faith, doing silly things, mischievous things, causing troubles. Not something really bad. They're just being naughty, I'd say, and they love looking for people's trouble. They're very troublesome deed, and that's something I particularly love about the story of Dorcas, alongside that of Smithy. So here in Fairy, Dorcas and Smithy are fond of stealing farmers Bogate's apple, and at this particular time while they were busy stealing it, they were caught by a set of gangs, and this gang happens to, I think, was involved in a problem with them, which eventually got the dad looking after Dorcas. When they arrived at Dorcas' house, they met a granny at home, and they were like, your daughter beat my son, and I'm here to report her. So Granny at first was trying to defend Dorcas, not knowing that Dorcas actually was involved in a silly act, stealing, bogus apple. So eventually it come to the point that, it mentioned that Dorcas was found stealing the bogus apple, even though Dorcas at that point was trying to, save someone whom those other gangs were torturing, I'd say. Those gangs are fond of stealing from people also, and beating young children unnecessarily. So Dorcas also tried to save them as well as her own brother until things turn apart, and Dorcas and Smithy's troublesomeness has spread all over Fairy that even the court demanded that those two should not be found together. Anyway you found Smithy nosing around, you also found Dorcas the same way. It's either they find stealing or they're just gallivanting, roaming about in pleasure and nosing around, trying to find issues. So it arises that why Dorcas was trying to cope the shame of her being known as a thief, I'd say, of stealing bogus apple, because bogus apple is one that attracts a lot of people. People come to buy the apple and bogus sell them or exchange them for money. So once the court demanded that Dorcas and Smithy should not be found close to one another, then they came up with the idea. Smithy came up with the idea that Dorcas, why don't we travel to a place very far where no one is going to find us, a place that even the court won't be able to find us. So Dorcas contemplated it and was like, oh, I think that's a good idea. I'd love to do this. Let's do this. That's how, through the use of glamour, Smithy was able to transport Dorcas, and they set their way to the lifeless realm, uncertain of what lies ahead of them. Now, I love to move into another character. That's one thing I particularly love about Craig Deegan's writing style. Once we talk about a particular character in a certain chapter, the next chapter we'll talk about another character, and that's how you keep switching between chapter to chapter of it, telling different story of different characters, and you keep moving, engrossing yourself, not wanting to stop reading. So here we're introduced to Duke Weston. Duke Weston happens to be someone, or an entrepreneur I'll call him, who has a particular show that people are gradually losing interest in. So I think on this day, he was mysteriously visited by Thaddeus Cracklock. And Thaddeus Cracklock, I think before then, someone made a bad review that, oh, I don't like your show anymore. I don't think I'll be interested in this crap. I won't be coming anymore. And that kind of took Weston's spirit to be down. He wasn't so happy about that feedback until Thaddeus Cracklock came with a suggestion that, oh, I have something for you that I think is gonna intrigue people and want them to be more interested in your show. So that's how, Duke Weston was like, okay, let's hear from this guy who said he had something for us. And they could sense a bit of mysteriousness concerning Thaddeus Cracklock's doing. I got there, no one know. How he left, no one know. Even when Fisher, who is actually referred to as Minty in the story, was sent by Weston to check how maybe he came with a car, stuff like that, was like, I couldn't find him, but he just turned this way. It shouldn't be that much. I should have at least been able to see his trace, but it disappears, nowhere to be found. And even though when he sent him a letter, how Thaddeus Cracklock replied, it was a bit mysterious. And even all of these features or red flag, I'd say, Duke Weston was, I think it was, maybe I'll say he's greedy, or he was covetous. He was just interested in money, I'd say. And so he was quite curious to know what Thaddeus Cracklock have in store for him. Now let me go back again and switch into the story of Dorcas and Smithy. So Dorcas and Smithy eventually arrived in the Life's realm. At first, I love to say that I particularly love the characterization of Dorcas and Smithy. This particular two character made the story read in a fantastic and in a scenic manner, one that would have you paint an image in your head as you read along. So once Dorcas and Smithy got to the Life's realm, they were basically nosing around as usual. The things they do in the fairy, they brought it to the Life's realm. At first, some lifers cannot see them. Those are people that do not use glamour. Those are people that do not have magic in them. So they would steal from this lifer. They would even sometimes dance in front of them. While Dorcas sometimes be like, oh, I'm scared, Smithy. I think they can see us. So Smithy will be like, oh no, they can't see us. Look, I'm gonna dance in front of her. I'm gonna raise my hand and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. They're not gonna see me. So that's how Dorcas was very confused that, oh really? These people cannot see us. That means we have a lot of life to enjoy here. They were very happy. They were excited, also unknowing of the future that lies ahead of them. So this is how the story kept unfolding, and it was unfolding in a dynamic and a drastic, intriguing manner. They keep on doing this as they get to this particular house. I remember after they've stole and got what they requested for, they eventually keep the house of this particular life clean. And she was quite surprised how all of this was done. So they were, I think, they are uncontented. They lack contentment. And Smithy and Dorcas were like, I think we should go to a much bigger house in a big manor where we can have enough food. All those lifers that have plenty money, they're very rich. They used to build mansion. And even if you're sleeping in a particular room, since they cannot see us, they wouldn't know. And even if you steal plenty things from them, they wouldn't know. So Smithy and Dorcas were like, oh, that's a good suggestion. So they pick it up. They started traveling, do this, use glamour, hold my hand. I'm going to pull this until they eventually land in a big house like they were looking for. So once they got there, they had no idea that this particular Cracklock or this particular lifer is not the type that they've been coming across so far. This man could see them. And why Dorcas and Smithy was still contemplating if they could be seen or not, the man said, what are you two devils doing here? So that's how I captured them out, and it was like, I have to report you to Thaddeus Cracklock. He might be in need of you. And this is where the entire saga started from. This is how Dorcas foolishly walked their way out of a peaceful abode, which refers to as the realm of the fairy, and come into the lifeless realm. And even after enjoying the benefit that in my own perception should have satisfaction, they were unsatisfied. They want more, and they eventually land themselves into trouble. So now let me switch back into the story of that of Duke Weston and Thaddeus Cracklock. So Thaddeus Cracklock eventually scheduled a date. I think Weston came to meet him in his house together with Fisher and some other men. And while Weston was quite nervous, quite scared, he went ahead, he wanted to listen to what Thaddeus Cracklock has got for them. And that's how Thaddeus introduced them to an entirely new thing. Introduce them to fairy through the use of Arcstone, tell them about the face, tell them how they are a devil. He gave them a bad perception of this face, this innocent face. Told them bad things about them, things that obviously they look unharmed. He told them, he brainwashed them, and those silly people, they're quite gullible. They easily believe things. They were engrossed. They were soaked into Thaddeus' huge lies. Even though Fisher could sense that, these guys, I don't think they are what Thaddeus has described them to be. Thaddeus, I think, he has the ability to read people's mind. That's maybe like a sorcerer, one of the magic he possesses. So he could sense that Fisher is not into the game. He could sense that Fisher was a bit skeptical about the whole plan. He could sense that Fisher was doubtful. So that's how the story kept unfolding. And after these guys, after Duke Weston, after Fisher and the other guys were made to believe Thaddeus' Cracklock lie, Thaddeus then told them that I have a good method for you that's gonna make you earn quite a lot of money. We're gonna make these devils, this fae refers to as devil from Thaddeus' words or point of view, to contend with some lifers in a particular dungeon, and we're gonna administer axe stones to every of the participant or Google made of axe stone that will allow them to be able to see the fae contend against a lifer. This was how the story continued, and it was amazing. The first time they tried it, people did not really turn on, but the second time they tried it, the crowd was so amazed at it, and Duke Weston was earning a huge amount of money. He was so excited that, yeah, his fortune has come. Now he's a new millionaire in town. Now to go back to the capturing of Dorcas and Smithy. Before then, Dorcas and Smithy are not the only one to be captured by these people. When they got to the cave, they realized that quite a lot of other fays have been captured, and it's not been today. It's been months. They've been there. They've been captured. They've been tortured. They've built a wall of cage around them. And fae are this kind of creatures that have this bad reception towards iron. Once you point an iron rod to them, they swing. They feel feverish, they feel sicky, and that iron reduces the number of magic they could do. The entire house is covered, is protected with Thaddeus glamour, just so they cannot escape. Now I love to talk about the anguish of the fae in this particular manner, this particular house. I would love to say that this is the best or the most emotional standalone that I've read so far in the series of the Cracklock Saga, because Craig Deegan made me feel the pain that this creature passed through in this particular dungeon. It was so hard, it was terrible. Should we talk about the issue they passed through in the face of the cage guard, or we talk about that which Thaddeus himself imposed on them? These guys were tortured. They were made to see hell, and even some innocent ones were used to contend against lifers that eventually killed them. So it was so horrifying. It was full of pain in this particular dungeon. At some certain point, especially reading about the story of that of Dorcas and Smithy, I felt overly emotional, and I was like, oh no. That's why I subtitled my review to be a historical anguish of the fae in the lifeless realm. Yeah, the agony was much, the pain was so terrible, and at this point I could feel the pain of Dorcas, I could feel that of Smithy. So not only Dorcas and Smithy was actually tortured, all the fae were tortured in this particular dungeon, and I feel so sad to know about this. So they now create an organization of other people known as the Black Rustlers. Those are the people that work together with Fisher. Fisher is the head of them, and they are the ones that go out to hunt on fays using axe stones. They go into the deep of woods trying to capture them and bring them into this particular manor or house, and then have the fae contend against them, while all those silly lifers will sit down in the audience board and look at them, enjoy these people, enjoy the torment of other people, enjoy life as instilling pain into these creatures, and they laugh and merry and drink and all of that. And it was just so fun that they got the book moving and changing in a dynamic and also manner. So several months passed, and Dorcas was nowhere to be found. And back there in the fairy realm, Granny is concerned that something has happened to Dorcas. So she told Femi that there's something is wrong with Dorcas. She can feel that she's in a lot of pain. Femi was like, okay, I'm gonna inform the court. And back there, information began to spread that the fays are going missing in the lifeless realm. So that's how Femi involved the court. But over there, he need to find a way to get to the lifers realm. So let's go back now to the story of the question and that of Fisher, that of Dorcas and Thaddeus Cracklock. From the onset of this funny gang up against the Fae, Fisher have always have this perception that this is not right. So when they begin to suspect that something is not wrong with him being together with them, Thaddeus threatened to take his wife, to take his daughter, and stuff like that if he refused to work with them. Because at some point, Fisher was like, he's not going to work with them anymore. He could feel whenever they go hunting together with the Black Rosters that these guys are armless. They're always pleading that, please release us, we'll go back to our world, we'll go back to where we come from. So it was obvious to him that what Thaddeus described of this Fae is wrong, it's a lie, stuff like that. Makes how Fisher have no option but to stay with him because they wouldn't give him his money, number one. And even when he requested for that, they threatened to kill his wife and daughter. So this is how he came to work together with them, though not fully. So until the point that Fisher one time visited the cage through which Dorcas was captured in. There's this connection that happens between the two. Dorcas could feel that in a lot of pain and agony, and from there that's how the old switch began, and they tend to become a friend, but stylishly. So Fisher told Dorcas that, they're going to put you into cage tonight, but that guy you're going to work with, this is his weakness. This is a place to target. Target his news, and you will overcome him. So that's how the first fight ever, Raphael won a lifer, got the old audience to be thrilled. They were like, oh my God, she killed him. So Dorcas was made to be viewed as the king, the most powerful guy who could fight among the Fae, even though she's doing it against her will. She's forced to do that, and if she did not fight for herself, she might be killed because those lifers are quite heartless beings. So this fight keep going. Dorcas and Smithy begin to communicate. At first, when they were taken away from the cage to work again in the house, they were captured. Both of them thought they were going to escape. They were captured by Thaddeus Cracklock. And that's how they were taken back to the cage again, until Dorcas were now made to start fighting together with Smithy. So it's a lot of roller coaster. So that's how the story kept unfolding, and it was unfolding in a dynamic manner. It got to the point whereby Fisher worked together with Dorcas, and he was able to communicate with Femi in the realm of the Fae. And Femi came to the Lifers realm. He came to witness the event himself, face to face. You could see the way with which some were killed right in his face, and they disappears in sparkling light. And to him was like, why are these people doing this? This is a lot of agony. This is a lot of pain. And he could see that Dorcas was not excluded from this. Smithy was not excluded from this, and it was just so hard. He tried his best. He used, when Dorcas again was getting into the cage, he helped her with some glamour and dagger, stuff like that. They were able to win again. And that's how things began to turn around. I was so sad. And I don't want to give much away, but I was so sad to know about the death of Smithy. That was so horrible, very painful, and quite so sad. So knowing about the death of Smithy kind of put me to a lot of emotion. I was like, oh no, that's not fun. That's not good again. And this bring a lot of devastation to Dorcas. Dorcas again, before the death of Smithy, she has seen a lot. Sometimes those guys will come and drop, broken irons on their body. They start rolling in pain on the floor until they have to pour water on their head to cool down the effect. And aside that, when she found out that Smithy is like a best friend, like they both found a place for themselves in their heart, and it was so hard. It was devastating. She has to suffer loss, she suffered grief. This is really a story not for the faint of heart. And I felt her pain here, even when Femi told her that let's go, these guys are bad. I'm so sorry to know that Smithy died, but there's nothing I can do. I cannot help you at that point. Let's go. Dorcas was like, oh no, I'm not going. He's not going. He's going to revenge Smithy's deaths. So, and I love the way she talks. She talks in a pluralized form, very funny way. And I could feel the pain of Dorcas. So Femi, after trying to encourage Dorcas over and over again, Dorcas was like, no, you need to avenge Smithy's death. And guess who killed Smithy? It was Thaddeus Cracklock who killed Smithy. So that's how Femi was after much pestering and Dorcas was unyielding, not changing her heart, he eventually left for Fairy and told Fisher that whenever you need my attention, just call Femirillion and I'll be right with you. So I wouldn't love to give much away. I think this is where I would love to stop my review and I'll attempt to keep it spoiler free. But then I want you to know if Dorcas, despite having suffered pain, loss, and agony, was she able to overcome Thaddeus Cracklock? And again, they're gonna have to keep using her as much as she keep winning the lifers, and those guys are coming in huge amount of numbers of participants and audience, and they keep earning coins. They keep using her. So I'm kind of curious, and I would love you to find out if Dorcas, if this agonic brownie, if this brownie who has been left in a lot of pain was able to overcome this. Can she fight for herself alone? Can she withstand the overpowering magic of Thaddeus Cracklock? Can she do all of this all alone? And what about Fisher? Fisher, who has turned his back against Thaddeus Cracklock, now being recognized as a betrayer. How would he be treated after Thaddeus Cracklock find out that he has gone behind their backs to work in favor of Dorcas and Smithy? And what would happen to his own family member that Thaddeus threatened to kill? What would happen to his wife? What would happen to his Dorcas? And back there, Duke Weston. How about Duke Weston? What's gonna happen to him? And again, those captured Faye in the hands of Thaddeus. Would Thaddeus keep torturing them? What is their Lord? Would they accept their fate for doom over there and keep suffering the pain and agony imposed by Thaddeus Cracklock? Also, how about Femi? Would he be able to go back to Fairy Realm and come back again? Even if he's coming back again, would he be able to capture and overcome Thaddeus, whose magic is so powerful? What about Granny? What would Granny do when she finds out that Dorcas is in a lot of pain that even Femi could testify to himself? This is a story of loss, a story of survivor, story of perseverance, story of agony, and one that knocked me off my heels. Actually, I particularly love this standalone in the series of the Cracklock Saga. It's an amazing one. It's one that I wouldn't love to give much away, but then I would love you to find out what becomes of all of these things in the book. Craig Deegan is an amazing writer, and in my attempt to not talk much about it or give too much away, I love to stop here. But then I would love you to check out other books in the series so far. This is standalone, my favorite standalone so far. And this, I have another one here, The Tale of Natalia Cracklock, which is another standalone in the series. I've read this too and I've reviewed it. And I have the book 1, Far or Fall, which I found to be very captivating. And here I have the second book series, which is The Lux and the Departed. Dorcas was here too. Then we have Alice and the Mirror Glass, which is the third book in the series of the Cracklock Saga, until Their Sorrow. Oh my God, I love Their Sorrow, and I'm looking forward to see what become of the captured characters, including Dorcas, in this book, in the upcoming Coin of the Realm. So, I've been following the Cracklock Saga book series so far. It's an amazing read. It's awesome. It's fantastically written. This particular one is emotional, and in my attempt to keep my review spoiler free, I wouldn't love to give much away. I love to stop here. So, if you'd love to get a copy of Dorcas, I left a link in the description part of this review where you can get a copy directly on Amazon. I also left a link to my review of other books so far in the series that I've just showed to you in the description part of this video. So thank you so much for watching my video book review of Dorcas by C.A. Deegan. If you watched this video to this point and you're yet to click on the subscribe button, I want to urge you to please click on the subscribe button over there. Also, don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you can get notified anytime I release new videos. So thank you so much for watching my video book review of Dorcas by C.A. Deegan. See you in my next video. Goodbye.